everybody? This is Gilbert!
And it's your boy James Ellsworth, and you're listening to Long Island's #1 wrestling podcast,
Monte
and the Pharaoh. Duh.
All right, welcome to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast out of Long Island, New York, straight from Indie Music TV. And at the board, gotcha, Matt the producer. Matt, how are you, buddy?
Still great, not as surprised this time.
That's what I'm talking about,
Look at him
man.
with the microphone in hand.
He's kind of getting the groove, right?
You're like Paul Schaefer now.
This is our second part of our special Saturday edition of Monte and the Pharaoh. To the right is star of the show, Jimmy Pharaoh. Jimmy, how are you, bud?
I'm good. Back again.
How did you enjoy that Al Snow interview?
That was a grand salami. That was fantastic. Loved it.
Grand Salami?
Yeah, grand slam.
Who used that?
I can't remember. Probably John Sterling or somebody from
okay.
it's a baseball thing. Whatever.
I want to thank the band Wisteria Hall, Jimmy Pharaoh's own band, who sings our theme song "Riding High" along with his partner Bart Griggs. Wisteria Hall's music can be found on Spotify, iTunes, and Reverb Nation. Monte and the Pharaoh can be seen on the Monte and the Pharaoh YouTube page, Facebook Live Monte and the Pharaoh page, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Anchor, Twitch TV Monte and the Pharaoh page, RTF Sports Network every Thursday, their anchor show from 8 to 9 p.m., Channel 115 every Tuesday from 8:30 to 9 p.m., where our special guest will be on an up-and-coming episode,
That's right.
And then on Channel 115 every Saturday from 6 a.m. to 6:30 a.m.
Monty time.
And newly on Channel 20 from 1:30 in the morning to 2 in the morning for the partiers that
Pharaoh time.
like to go out and party. I'm too old for that shit.
What?
So anyway.
Not by that voice message you left me. Pharaoh wrestling.
We'll get back to our special guest, Doink and Dink, after these commercial breaks.
Be right back. Boo. And APB, American Protection Bureau, voted #1 best on Long Island for all your security needs. Call 631-390-9050. That's 631-390-9050. APB.
Jimmy, I just got the best hookup on tickets.
Fill me in.
I went to www.seatslinks.com and ordered the best tickets with the best prices.
Call 718-676-0504. SeatsLink, the complete ticket experience.
Tell them Charles sent you. You need a body shop? You need engine repair? Auto Excellence, Collision Specialists, 631-261-6420. That's 631-261-6420. Auto Excellence. All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monte and the Pharaoh, seen every Thursday, produced out of Indie Music TV in Ronkonkoma, New York. But this is Saturday, where we're welcoming our special guest, Doink and Dink, a.k.a. Ray Apollo, and a.k.a. Tiger Jackson. Guys, it's an honor to have you on the show. At this point, I'm going to turn you over to the star of the show, Mr. Jimmy Pharaoh, to talk about both of you guys, but first I want to ask a quick question. How are you guys both handling the COVID era along with the civil unrest in the country right now?
Well, like everybody else, we're dealing with the pandemic the way everyone has to. You know, you got to respect the science, respect our leaders as far as isolation and wearing a mask and 6 feet apart. And, you know, I don't agree with everything they're doing. Some of them, some places, some states have gone overboard. You know, you have to find a happy medium between putting people's lives and businesses out of business and just crushing them, and so that maybe they can come back. You know, some of it is just too strict, and some of it is necessary. You know, so I mean, I think they found a pretty good happy medium. I'd like to see some of it loosen up, so that maybe the small businesses and some of the people that are really struggling can maybe come back from it.
Are you worried about COVID at all as far as your health or anything like that?
Well, I'm not really worried about it because I take the necessary precautions, I believe. I mean, I don't do stupid things. I don't go to giant gatherings or parties or, you know, street fairs and football games and stuff like that. I try to protect myself a little bit, you know, but I'm not going to live in my basement either. You know, I'm going to go out and live my life as reasonably safe as I can.
What's your opinion when you see protesters by the masses all gathered in bunches, and how does that make you feel?
Well, the protesting in masses and in bunches, I think they're playing with fire because I think a lot of them could potentially get sick and get ill. As far as protesting goes, peaceful protests are a guaranteed right under the Constitution. And I believe in our Constitution and our country. I love our country. As far as violent protests, I think that should be put down very strongly, very quickly, and not tolerated. Because those same people that are battling the COVID-19 and battling this pandemic and this virus, then the guy's just starting to come back. So what do? You burn his business down?
Right.
I mean, that poor guy and his family and his wife, they've had enough, haven't they?
Right.
I mean, I think you really should exercise good judgment. If you want a peaceful protest and you want to protest about an injustice or something that was done wrong, hey, I'm all for that. Do it. I believe you should be able to march, carry your banners, do whatever you got to do. But as far as destroying our country or destroying some poor guy that's just coming back on his feet, I feel twice as bad for that guy. It's horrible.
Claude, you're from Canada, right?
Yeah,
What's it like in Canada right now?
it's same to the state. For you put the mask, you go to the restaurant, put the mask everywhere.
Any protesting going on in Canada?
No, it's a respect. Put the mask.
How about the level of tension just in the streets and society in general? Because we feel it here. I mean, do you feel any tension on the
Same.
streets?
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah, you drive your car. Some people no respect. They cut the car, everything.
Mm-hmm.
You go to the restaurant, same. You like a pass, you have a line. You can, you have a line, you go to the line.
Yeah. Because you always hear about Canada, right? With their universal health care and supposed to be a more peaceful country. You know, maybe not as a challenge as people getting along. But you're trying to say that the U.S. and Canada are almost the same type of feeling.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead, Pharaoh. You're on.
Alrighty, guys. What made you both choose to become professional wrestlers? How about you first, Doink?
Well, I mean, I used to wrestle when like a kid. I was an amateur wrestler, and I always loved it. You know, growing up in the New York area, I got to see just about every superstar in the world. You know, I grew up watching all the guys, the Brunos, and half of the guys I'm going to mention are all passed away. You know, and the great ones came. Everybody who was anybody came through New York, and I always said, man, I'd love to do that. I'd love to do that. And then I was working security in a nightclub, and I met some of the guys that were wrestling and got to talking to them. And this was before the days of schools and everything. They didn't have them. And I'd go start driving the ring truck, putting the ring up, putting the ring down. And then before the people would come in, some of the older guys, you'd work out with them in the ring. And they'd work you out.
I bet.
But so you were bouncing, and you said, "Hey, how do I get into the biz?" And they said,
Yeah, I
let's
met
start
some
you."
of the guys, and
Yeah.
I just said, I always wanted to do that.
Who
And,
helped you get through the front door? Was there any particular wrestler that really helped you get in there?
Yeah, when I started, it was Johnny Rods.
Nice.
Yeah.
The unpredictable one.
Yeah, and Johnny was great. And then he opened the door, I got in, and then I got real lucky because Alpha and Sika liked me.
Oh,
And
that's a good thing.
yeah, it's a real good thing. And I spent Alpha at the time was living in Connecticut, had a ring in the backyard, and all of you people now know of the Yokozunas and the Rikishis and the Samus and the Tonga kids, and
Right, the family.
so we were all in the backyard wrestling around, working out, and and we got a lot of knowledge from Alpha and Sika, and then us kids all started to move along, and the story pretty much about all of them. I mean, I don't have to tell you about who did what, where, and when.
Sure.
But it was great. It was a great time. It was a great time to grow up with in the business. Grow up with those guys, And anytime you walked in and Alpha would introduce you to somebody, it certainly made things a little bit better.
Right, sure.
How about you, Claude? How'd you break in?
Me watch the match, the small people. Puis me see Beaver, Sky Lolo, Little Brutus.
Sky Lolo, sure.
One time me go see Beaver, me maybe 18. He tell me, you too young. You 21, call me. Me call. He training me. Puis Pat Beaver, very friend. Pat tell, bring Tiger to the state 1982. Me wrestling in Madison Square Garden, my first match.
Your
Too
first
nervous.
match?
First match.
Madison Square Garden, your first
Yeah.
match. Jeez. Are you serious?
insane.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
Yeah, made me
Not
very
a bad place to start.
Right at the top.
I play baseball. I go to Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, my first at bat. There you go, over the right field wall.
me training 6 months, all right?
6 months.
He tell me, you go Madison Square Garden, me, all right? Me tell me, don't look the people. He's packed, all right? Puis me look, me scare, man.
So you walk out there, the place is
the
packed.
match is no good, eh? But the people no see, all right?
Oh God.
That is crazy.
Me very nervous, but after me go, me train Beaver, train me, puis everything is good.
Wow.
Wow.
What a debut.
Yeah.
So you talk about the different sides of two guys. 6 months, his first match was in Madison Square Garden. 10 years and about 1,000 matches. I got there too.
Yeah, but that's a great point. But what's really great about you, Ray, is, well, both of you actually, you opened up in your career during like the golden era of wrestling,
Yeah,
right? And
sure.
you got to see the whole transition, which
Yeah.
we'll get into in some questions, but both incredible starts to careers for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ray, real quick question. Would you consider Doink your most famous character?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, the notoriety of the couple WrestleManias and, traveling around the world with the Federation at the time and all that stuff. Yeah, people do remember some of the other things I did. And once in a while, someone will ask me about it or to sign a picture from, the times before that. But
Right.
generally, without a doubt, the Doink character is the most important one of my career.
So you and Matt Osborne are pretty much are the ones that create,
Yeah.
had the Doink character.
Correct.
Matt was released for obvious drug problems that he had. Did Matt ever give you shit about you taking over the character?
Interesting.
No, I mean, as far as Matt and I, we didn't have any problems. We didn't have any personal, and I never did nothing to the guy. He never did nothing to me. I mean, if he had a problem with the office and the office and him decided to go different ways in the business, that was nothing to do with me. I mean, I wasn't working for the Federation at the time. I didn't know. So, I mean, as far as me and Matt having bad blood with us, I never did with the guy. I mean, if he had...
Did he ever reach out to you at all to talk about it, or just?
I mean, I talked to Matt a couple times,
Yeah.
after I had already left. There was promoters that wanted to do, a Doink on Doink match, and they wanted to
Which
do...
is a pretty good idea, by the
and
way.
this and that, and but I never had a problem with him.
How did you feel when it was broken to you that you were going to take on the character? Were you excited, or were you possibly even disappointed, and like maybe you wanted other things for your career? How did you feel when you were told you were going to do this?
Well, it's not like I woke up one morning and said, you know what, I think I'm going to be a clown and wrestler.
Right,
So,
right. So where were you at when they broke it to you?
well, the truth of it is I was home. I was fixing something in my kitchen, and the phone call rings, and as you might or might not know, some of the boys like to tease each other.
Right.
We used to call it playing ribs,
Okay.
So the phone rings, and I answer the phone. I say, hello, and the other end goes, well, this is Vince McMahon. I'd like to talk to you about possibly coming to work.
This is Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I said, well, listen, whichever one of my friends is giving me a hard time today, I don't need to talk to you. I hung up the phone. So 10
I
minutes.
fixed the sink, Mrs. Manicotti. You can come back down.
That's pretty funny.
just like Norton and Ralph. Right. So, 5 minutes later, the phone rings again. He says, this is Vince McMahon. I said, listen, I don't have time for this. Whoever's playing ribs on me today, leave me alone and stop calling me. I hung up the phone again.
I fear Vince is starting getting annoyed. There was
But, yeah.
Okay.
So finally, the third time, a girl calls back and said, listen, this is Vince McMahon's secretary. Here's the number for Titan Tower. Please call it back. He wants to speak with you.
Oh, wow.
I said, all right. So
Put the wrench down.
yeah. So
Okay.
now the phone of the guy says, well, geez, I wonder if this is for real, Nah, can't be.
Right.
All right, let me call it back.
Okay.
So I call it back, and hello, World Wrestling Federation. I went, oof.
Oh man!
Oh boy, I just hung up on this cat twice. I said, well, this is Ray Apollo. I'm looking to speak with Mr. McMahon. She goes, yeah, he's been trying to get in touch with you.
Oh my God!
My
Well,
Lord.
let me ask you this, Ray.
that's a true story.
According to Bruce Pritchard, he claims that when they got rid of, or Osborne left, or he was on drug rehab,
Okay.
that Bam Bam Bigelow recommended you for the role as Doink. Is there any truth behind that?
I know that I think Vince had asked a few people, about me, who I was, where I was, what was going on. And I think, if I remember right, that Bam Bam and Alpha and Yokozuna all told Vince about me.
Okay.
And at that time, Yoko was the champion, and Alpha was there with what you guys call, Rikishi Jr. and Sam were the head shrinkers. And Scott, I guess he asked Scott about me too, Bam Bam. So, it came from those three guys, really.
So I guess it paid off to know the Samoans then, huh?
Well, yeah, I mean, they're friends of mine, so it was great being with them all this time, they're like family to me.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Working primarily as a heel before you got this very important role, how hard was it for you to make the conversion to a face?
Well, I mean, if you're one of the boys and you've been wrestling, then you do all the same moves and you do everything. You're the way you wrestle, the way you move, the way you do things doesn't change. It's when you do it and how you do it. So that's not that. It wasn't a big deal to me.
Okay.
I mean, we all do things a certain way. There's not two wrestlers the same in the world.
Right.
So everybody does things their own way. When you do it and how you do it is just how you switch things around. That's the way it was to me.
Mikey?
All right, what we got here?
More Bigelow and Bourne, it looks like.
How was Bigelow? Like, was he a good guy? Like, you
Yeah.
hear back, we've had Lanny Poffo in here, and he thought that Bigelow was a pretty arrogant type of guy and kind of really wasn't a good person.
He had some, yeah.
I know you had a relationship with him. What was Scott Bigelow like?
Well, all I could ever talk about is my own dealings with people.
Yeah.
I never take what anyone else says about it. I mean, Bam Bam and I would go fishing together. We would go pistol shooting together. We'd go hunting together. We got along real well. And as far as the kind of guy he was, I mean, he'd do anything for me. And me for him. We were on the road together. We would ride together. We'd room together. We'd help each other out. I can never talk bad about him. I don't have a bad word to say.
So he was just a good guy. in
I
your
liked
book.
him.
Any truth to the excessive living? Because we have had guests in the past who said that he would like literally wipe his ass with $100 bill. Is there any truth to Bigelow being a partier and
Oh, we all partied.
You all partied. Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
listen, anybody who sits in this seat and tells you that we weren't drinking beer and doing things
Right.
that we shouldn't have been doing
Right.
is a liar.
Right.
I
Right.
mean, it's just, what level did you take it to?
Claude with all of his groupies.
Yeah.
I mean, come on now.
Well, when he walks in the snow, you see 3 drag marks, but that's
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
that's another whole story.
Yeah, one feet of snow.
You know.
You see three
But,
lines.
I mean, we all drank beer and had fun and did things we shouldn't have done.
Of course.
It's just that
You and me both.
some guys took it to the extreme.
Right. Right. right.
Which is bad.
Right.
And I'm not advocating doing any of it, but
Right.
when you're of that lifestyle and you wrestle every day and you're working out, you want to go all the time.
Right.
And you're young and nothing hurts and you feel great, and you walk into a tavern or a place and everyone recognizes you and everybody wants to be your friend and buy you a drink and have a good time, and before you know it, it's 3 o'clock in the morning and you're running down the beach with half your clothes on.
Well, so let me ask you that.
Things
So,
like that happen.
Your makeup's running.
Yeah.
it's a lifestyle of indulgence in some cases, right?
Yeah.
And you're famous, and you go to the bars. I'm sure a whole bunch of fans are coming up to you and be like, "Hey, man, can I buy you a drink?"
Exactly.
Whatever. So, another question for you. And again, I don't know if you were married at the time, weren't married, whatever. I mean,
Well, that's part of the reason I was not married. No.
here lies my question to you. You're at a bar. Ring rat comes up to you. We'll just call it a ring rat.
Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Sure.
They want to have sex with Doink the Clown. Do you have any fans that asked you to keep your makeup, like put your makeup on and let's have sex?
The answer is yes.
Oh yeah, that
Tell the story. You got to tell the story.
definitely happened.
You too, huh, Dink?
Me, he try me, all right? Me, the small guy, all right? Me tell coming, you never come back a big guy.
Really? God. So you never let Claude have him first because you're afraid.
Oh, then I didn't have a shot. No, it was all over.
What is going
you
on
can't,
here?
You can't send him in first. It's all over.
He's a stunt muffin.
Oh yeah.
What is going on?
So
Monte and the Pharaoh would be out of business.
you ain't kidding, brother.
Wait a minute.
You're done.
All right.
Was there ever a time that a fan, a woman fan, man fan, whatever?
No,
Hey, easy now, buddy.
yeah, I knew he was going to do that.
Is there ever a point they said, "Hey, can I have Doink and Dink
Oh my
at the
God!
same time?"
A clown sandwich?
I did have a request or two.
Oh my
Really?
lord!
Yeah.
Did you consult with him first, or did he just
I
walk
told
in
you,
your half
no,
dressed?
we could never honor that request. They kicked me out.
How hot were the girls that used to come up to you? Were they hot or were they
Well,
like,
some of them were very nice looking women,
Oh, God.
Some of them were a little rough.
They needed the makeup.
Yeah, they should have doubled up on the makeup.
all right,
Oh my god!
But if some of the rough ones would have went with him, they only needed half as much.
oh, there you go.
Oh,
So we've established here that if they went to Claude, they weren't coming back.
No, it's all over.
All right, but we also established that women do like men in clown makeup.
Men
Yeah.
in tights, yeah.
yeah.
Man, I never wanted to be Doink the Clown so bad in my life.
I fixed the sick, Mrs. Manicotti. You can come down.
Well, if you see me after the show, Ralphie boy, we'll paint you right up.
All right, with that, we're going to take a quick commercial break.
Lulu.
Oh,
That's right, folks. Canine Corral for all your dog daycare and overnight care. Call 631-549-1544. That's 631-549-1544.
In the mood for a freshly roasted cup of coffee? www.offtherailscoffeeroasters.com. Jimmy, I gotta take a dump.
What?
No, I mean I need a dumpster.
Well, for all those needs, you need to call Big V Dumpster Rental, Long Island, New York, 631-900-DUMP.
All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monte the Pharaoh, seen every Thursday, produced out of Indie Music TV in Ronkonkoma, New York, where we have WWE superstars, Doink and Dink.
Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you guys for taking the time out to come on our show. We greatly appreciate
It's a pleasure to be here. I'm having a lot of fun, too.
Thank you. We're having a great time.
All right.
Thank you for making this rainy Saturday special. And if anyone doesn't know, one of our sponsors will be drinking some good fucking wine with dinner before the auction tonight.
Man, sweet.
Oh, yeah. I'm looking
Sweet.
forward to that.
All right, brother. That's
All
what I'm
right.
talking
A
about.
little bit of red, huh?
A little
Yeah.
bit of red.
Damp and dreary day?
Yes,
a little
sir.
bit of red.
That'll work.
And if some ring rats come in, can I borrow some makeup?
Sure, absolutely. I have an extra wig in the truck. I'll help you out.
I'm in.
Well, it looks like you could use it.
Wait, before we get to your question, did they also ask for music?
You want music to with it, too?
No. So if a ring rat wanted to have sex with you,
What,
wait,
you have
did they go, can you put on the clown music, too?
No, they don't want the music, no.
No, there's no music.
You never
No,
did the wild, funky clown dance with your theme
ZZ
song?
Top.
Well,
You didn't do it with the theme music? Not once? They never
no,
asked
we
for
didn't
it.
need the music, no.
Oh, wow.
They really just wanted the...
Those groupies aren't imaginative enough. I would have been like, can you also put on the music?
Oh, man.
No, they didn't want the
This is
music.
very bizarre. Dink, I want to ask you, how were you approached by the WWE to come to the company?
He called me. Pat Patterson, he called
Pat
me.
Patterson called you.
Yeah.
Were you worried?
Yeah, he tell me.
Sorry.
No. So easy, baby.
Did he say you have cute little
Don't put
cheeks?
it at me.
I mean, what are we talking
What is
about?
it?
Did he ask you to wear the clown makeup?
He like.
Don't play the song. Don't forget to play the song.
song.
I just want you to know, Pat didn't call me.
Okay,
It
that's
was
good.
Vince that called
You
me.
look relieved. Go on.
Patty called me. He tell the first gimmick is Mancho Man,
Okay.
Little Mancho Man.
Okay.
He try. I don't know is good or no good. After that way, he tell you little hustler, Hulk Hogan. Me tell okay. Match not too good. But he called me again. He tell me you.
too good.
Yeah,
Excellent.
You
Go on.
the clown.
He used to do all the interviews for Hogan.
Yeah.
Really now?
Yeah, see the way he talks?
There you go. What you gonna do?
Can you do a what you gonna do, brother?
Can
Yeah.
you? Yeah, baby. Oh yeah. But let me, again though, do you realize that this guy's intro, first match, Madison Square Garden? Okay, now you get to work with Macho Man and Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
ever work with anybody that wasn't a main event superstar? I mean, like, what are you talking about? I'm supposed to be helping you.
No.
What are you doing?
It went,
no,
all
no,
down,
no.
it went all downhill after Macho Man and Hogan.
He's
Look
a,
up below, Ruffy. Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Dink is a good gimmick for me.
Yeah.
For the kid,
Mm-hmm.
unreal. Is the kid is me Ray a good time together, and
Was it difficult for you? Okay, back in the day, they used to bill it special attraction. Okay, so you guys would come out, whether it's Sky Lolo, other legends. Was it harder for you to get a pop from the crowd? Did you have to
No,
work
no.
harder to get a good reaction from
No.
them? So you felt the fans treated
yes.
you well over
you
the
can,
years?
You walk with the people pop. It's the same the time me walk a Ray.
Okay.
Cross Bam Bam on the belly people. This guy Bam Bam with Ray, he go to the gym, alright? Me go a little bit, alright? Me
Very
can
little bit.
go to the gym same Ray. Me go little bit on the ring, the people pop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did
Bam
you-
Bam 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 is a nice guy for me.
Bam Bam.
Yeah, he take the bump for me. You imagine a small guy?
Yeah.
Me take a bump for Dink. What is the trouble, alright? The small people, the time you walk wrestling, everywhere. Is the girl, you pull you on the 11th floor. You can reach the bottom.
Yeah.
You step, you pull a tree. Yeah. Yeah, but
How did you feel when you two were put together? What was your thoughts?
me?
Yeah.
Me very happy. Is the guy, he's nice guy. He respect me. Sometimes he's scared, right? Me tell me, Ray, don't scare.
Sometimes he scares you.
No, me
He's
no
a scary
scare.
clown. What do you want him to do? Tickle your
he's
underarms?
scared,
I mean, what
he's
do we-
scared for the
It
match.
won't be roses. Sometimes it's gotta be a little rough.
I hate to do this, Dink. Come here.
No,
Oh my
he's scared
God.
for the match. Me tell me Don't scare. Go that way, P. Everything is good.
So you had some stage fright over the years, huh? Did you ever have some stage fright, like when you first walked out at the Garden? I mean, how
When you're
easy
scared,
was
yeah.
how easy was it for you to perform over the years? Did you get more comfortable with it?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. So you
That
weren't
time,
always-
one time, all right, Bam Bam slam me. He go the top rope.
I'm trying to picture
He
this.
tell me,
Hey,
don't move. You see me very close, you
better
move.
not.
Don't move. You see me? That's
God.
comforting.
Yeah.
Ray, you come in as Doink. Matt Bourne's character was an evil clown, right? And they're kind of like, hey, we want you to be this face clown. Were you disappointed over that? It didn't matter.
No, I mean, it didn't matter to me. I was grateful to have a job, at the top level of the business. And, I always felt as though all of us guys that were in that locker room were just a tool in the box. Mm-hmm. How you were going to get this program, how you were going to get this TV show to be a winning TV show on. If you have 30 guys under contract and all of them are the same, we don't need you.
Right.
So, my tool, I was a tool in that box, and I was going to be a clown. So, that's what I had to be. And if they wanted to be a fan favorite clown, then that's what I was going to do. I was going to do the best I could at it.
Dink, how about telling us about the transition from working matches with your brother Lionel, a.k.a. Little Beaver, in the golden era to the 90s wrestling? Can you tell us also some more about your brother?
So you started off in the golden age, right, with your brother, right?
No, brother.
I thought Little Beaver was your brother.
No.
Okay.
He's the same name as me, but
Okay.
he's not my brother.
Okay. But
Aha.
you worked with him, though, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So in a more, I know it was an attraction, but a more serious type of match. Wrestling was a little more serious back then. And then
Yeah.
when you go into the 90s, which becomes that kid-friendly PG era, was that a hard transition?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. Beaver, he tell me all the time, me show you everything, because sometimes is you, puis me leave. Be very good, is good trainer.
Is that the most difficult part of a match when you're forced to improv at a given moment? I'm sure that everything can be completely choreographed. So how difficult was it to, on the fly? Was that very hard for you to do?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Ray, you were talking earlier before we got on air. You were talking about, and even when you started, like you got to meet Bruno, who was like an idol of yours, right?
That was like Babe Ruth walking in the locker room.
it is.
I mean,
It is Babe Ruth.
Baron Mikel Cicluna, you
Sure.
worked with Bulldog Brower, right?
Bulldog Brower.
Wow.
Now you're in the 90s and you're working with like a Jeff Jarrett, a Triple H, and a Marty Jannetty. How's that transition?
Well, everybody was stars in their own right in their own time. Now, would Bruno and Mike Cicluna and a lot of those Brower and Dominic DeNucci and the list goes on and on, would those guys have made it in the 90s? Absolutely. They were absolute talent. They
So
were
you
great
think
wrestlers.
you definitely think like a Bruno Sammartino would have transitioned?
Oh,
no
yeah.
matter what?
Yeah, without a doubt. Because he was just talent. He was pure talent. And as far as like Jeff Jarrett and Marty and Bammer and all those guys, could they have wrestled back in the 60s? Absolutely. They would have wrestled differently. They might have done different things, but they were athletes.
How do you think San Martino would have been presented in the 90s?
How he would have been presented?
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you this. Bruno was never presented. That was Bruno.
That's why I'm so curious. How do you think he would have been packaged in a
there's
slicker
no
day?
So
there's no presenting Bruno Sammartino.
So for you,
Interesting.
So when you look at Bruno, right,
Yeah.
one of the greatest of all time for you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But if I was just a judge and say, hey, did Bruno have great mic skills? Was
It's
he a
okay.
great wrestler? You know what I mean?
Did he have
Why?
it?
Why did he have
Yes.
it? Like, why did everybody love San
He had
Martino,
it.
including ourselves? Why did you love Bruno San Martino?
It's called charisma.
Yeah, he had it.
He put it, because, let me put it to you this way. You could come off as something or be something that you're not, and the people can see through it. Bruno was Bruno. Like, people would always say to me, what was he like in the locker room? Or what was he like in a hotel? Or what was he like in a restaurant? The same as when you saw him on television. That interview that he did, that was not a fake Bruno.
That was Bruno.
That was Bruno.
Right.
And Bruno was a man's man. What I mean is you had to have respect. You had to, carry yourself properly. He wasn't going to tolerate you doing stupid or bad things. And if you were disrespectful to any one of those guys, they would turn their back on you and it was over.
What do you think Bruno would have told you if you said, "Hey, Bruno, WWE came to me and with this Doink the character"? What do you think Bruno would have said to you?
I don't know. I don't know, because in that time, it was a different era. Bruno never would. I knew Bruno and I liked Bruno and Bruno liked me, and Bruno never would have did anything to hurt me. If he thought that it was the best opportunity for me to advance my career and go, then I believe he would have said to me, then make it the best clown character you possibly can. Don't forget where you came from. Show him that you can wrestle. Do the best thing that you can with it. Take it as far as you can, son. Shoot for the moon. If you fall short, you'll end up with the stars.
There you go.
Is it unreasonable sometimes of folks to even bring up who was greater or had more impact on the business when you start comparing a Bruno Sammartino to a Hulk Hogan? Is the whole idea just preposterous because the times were so different?
Well, it's like this. Who was a better boxer, Joe Louis or Muhammad Ali?
Right. You're talking
I don't know.
big gap in
You
between.
know, you got as many people say that Ali was the greatest, they're going to tell you that he was the greatest. And then there's a couple of guys in the back who are going to say you Marciano was the
Marciano.
greatest because he never got beat.
Right.
So I don't know if you compare Hogan to Bruno, who you would say did more for the business, or I could tell you that I don't know for sure, but I think Bruno still has the amount of record for a Garden and Felt Forum being sold out with him at the top of the card.
I think so.
You know, I mean, that says something.
Yeah, it sure does.
You know, now there's a whole lot of things that transpose into this. It's a completely different ball game.
Yeah, it is.
You know, today you got cable TV, you got pay-per-views, you have all kinds of different items that you
the
didn't
WWE
have.
Network.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. But all I can say is I believe that Bruno or Hogan or any one of those guys would have been a star in any era. Because they had it.
It.
They had it.
Yep. Did either one of you, of course, you were around during the time period of the heyday of the Clique.
Yeah.
Did you ever witness some of the things, either of you, that they did to others in the locker room?
And
No.
how they treat you?
How'd they treat you guys, the Clique?
No, I mean, I didn't have a problem with them. I mean, listen, it's like anything else. You go to work in a factory.
You didn't want to slap the shit out of Shawn Michaels?
Oh, well.
Be honest. Be honest.
I did slap him once.
Did
Did
you really?
you really?
Dude,
Yeah.
hell.
In the
What, try to
Providence,
steal
Rhode
your
Island,
nose or something?
Royal
What-
Rumble.
What was that?
In the Royal Rumble in the Providence, it's on tape.
Okay.
I slapped him in the mouth
What led you to do that?
because he was being obnoxious, and he would mess with people and, you know, just be belligerent. And, you know, but since then, the last time I saw him, Sean really grew up. He's a much nicer person. And I knew that part was always there. He just, I think for whatever reason, he had to have a chip on his shoulder and not let that nice guy come out. Because the last time I saw him, he was really nice.
Yeah.
I said, why weren't you like this for the last 25
So
years? You know?
clearly you didn't like him
Then,
then.
well, it wasn't me. I mean, you
Well,
guys.
everybody didn't like him.
You know Tito.
Shit, I didn't like him.
You know Tito Santana?
Yes.
Yeah, we've
He's
had
one
him
of
on,
the-
a few times.
had him on several
He's
times.
one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. in
Yes,
this
he
business.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tito wanted to beat him up. Now, if you could get Tito Santana to fight with you, you
Yeah,
really,
you've accomplished some
yeah,
jackassery.
you win.
Yeah,
'Cause he's
yeah.
one of the nicest gentlemen in the business.
How about his
Interesting.
partners, Hall and Nash?
Well,
Is it also arrogant central, or what are we talking here?
I mean, anybody knows this business. I'm not telling you nothing you don't know.
Okay.
And by the way, Scott's in the studio. And
Scott Hall had a substance abuse problem.
Right, of course.
And when Scott was straight, he was a nice guy.
Right.
He would get belligerent and nasty when he was jacked up. And there's a guy that had more talent than
Yeah.
half of the company.
Sure.
He was a big, good-looking, talented guy that would have went 10 times as far as he did if he wasn't messed up on a little bit of the stuff. But he had it all. Really did.
When you talk about his total, overall presentation, his look, his ability, his machismo, everything about him, would you say that pro wrestling sometimes covers up a lot of the the flaws the way another sport may not. For example, you just said that Scott Hall could have accomplished so much more. Is he Darryl Strawberry to you? Because Darryl Strawberry could have hit 600 home runs.
And
He wound up hitting
Dwight
about
Gooden would have threw 10 more no-hitters.
right.
Yeah.
So is it fair to say that sometimes maybe wrestling covers up some of your?
Oh, I don't know that. I mean, look at all
to
the
the
guys.
fan, to the
Yeah,
fan.
but look at the guys you just mentioned. It was all covered up on them too. It was the culture in the 80s and 90s.
Right, but Scott Hall's a Hall of Famer,
Yeah,
and Darryl Strawberry will never get a sniff.
correct.
Interesting. I was just curious if that's a fair analogy to equate him almost to a Darryl Strawberry, but in pro wrestling,
Yeah.
you almost get a pass for it.
Well, I don't know if they get a pass. I mean, I think he paid a
Oh,
lot.
I'm not saying that, but at the end of the day, he's in the Hall of Fame.
He's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, and he deserves it too. Obviously,
He does.
He does.
He
Absolutely.
does. But he would have been even. You didn't see the best of him.
Right.
That's to me is amazing because he's in my top 5 personal favorites. I thought he was fantastic.
He
But
was.
But you're right. There's probably so
Without
much
a
more.
doubt.
He
If-
would have been world champion maybe if he had it more together. I know he didn't care about the belt. He told us himself.
No, it's true. But I'm telling you, we never saw the best of him.
Wow.
So when you get the call to the WWE, is that during the time where McMahon towards that steroid trial?
Oh yeah, I walked right in on the heat of that.
So tell us what
Yeah.
was the feel in the locker room there? Because you got to think, oh shit, this might get closed down. Who knows?
Well, no, the minute I got there, we had random drug testing imposed, because of he was going to court. Vince originally had a 22-count indictment against him, and Terry was named in it, and there was a lot of heat going on for that.
Sure.
We all paid a stricter price for that because the random drug testing came in. If you got caught 3 times, you got fired. I mean, it was on, and they weren't just tested for steroids; they tested you for everything.
Now,
And you never knew when it was coming.
Did you hit the juice? You're a big guy.
No,
Did you
I never
hit
did.
the juice.
I didn't have to.
You just
My problem was
He was
losing
taking
weight.
it all for you, right?
Well, your problem was losing the weight.
Yeah. What? I was
my
always the
God.
fat kid skipping rope in the shower. I didn't have a problem. If I would have got bigger than I was, I think I would have looked funny because I'm not really overweight. I'm just under height.
Shit, you're 6 foot something. Right? What the hell? Makes us. Anyway, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be back with Doink and Dink, WWE Superstars.
We shall return. The Monte and the Pharaoh Show is brought to you by...
Because wine is your second favorite 4-letter word. California wine, New York attitude. Good fucking wine.
Yeah.
You want to star in your own success? Call Quickcast. www.quickcast.com. 866-7-CAST-NOW. That's 866-7-CAST-NOW. Quickcast.
Start your own success. Jeff Quest, graphics design, custom vinyl lettering, and all your art and video needs. 516-317-8204. That's for Jeff Quest, graphic design.
All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monte The Pharaoh, seen every Thursday, produced at Indie Music TV in Ronkonkoma, New York. Our special guests on this Saturday, WWE superstars Doink and Dink. Try to keep it kayfabe.
What?
So you were there. For the steroid thing. Obviously, McMahon gets. Okay, he's okay.
He
Everything's
got
fine.
acquitted
He got
of all
acquitted, thank
charges.
you.
Yes, the government
I'm
failed
getting
to
old.
prove.
I can't
The
remember.
government failed to prove their case.
Perfect. Were you? I think maybe you were there after the Ring Boy scandal with Pat Patterson
After.
and Garvin.
Yeah.
You know about that?
Sure.
Can you fill me in on some information about that?
I mean, let's be honest. I mean, Pat's sexual preference and everything is well known in the business. I mean,
What's he getting at?
I never had any problems with Pat at all. And I mean, I would actually tease him and exploit it. And he and I had a lot of fun with it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, if I was in the shower and he walked past, I'd cover up, you know, and he would laugh. He would think it's funny, you know.
It's funny.
And I would do stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't afraid. I mean, I knew what I was. He knew what he was. We both knew what each other was. And I never had a problem with the cat, you know.
Right.
And
Yeah. Sure.
And we would bust each other over it, you know. I thought it was fun. So I can't. Personally, I never saw Pat or Garvin do anything wrong that they shouldn't have done.
Okay.
I mean, listen, if you know the boys and you got a thin skin, then you need to get out of the business because we're going to tease you and rib you until you quit.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we would do that all on a general basis, but I never saw them take it to the level of where it was illegal or wrong. I mean, it was just...
I mean, but, you know, just as being a human being, do you feel bad in some cases? I mean, going back to Shawn Michaels, right? I mean, you were gone when he did this whole thing with Sonny back later on, but, you know, rumor has it when Shawn was being managed or pushed by Sherry Martel, he was, you know, be honest with you, it was fucking Sherry, right?
Well, I mean, if Sherry didn't want it being done to her, I'm quite sure she would have slowed
Well, I
it
guess,
down.
but I guess my point is, I think the point might have been married, right, or something.
Oh, I don't
Right.
know. I don't know if Shawn was married at the time.
Okay.
I never got into like that kind of stuff.
Right.
You know, I mean, if what him and Sherry or him and Sonny did or didn't do, that was no concern of Ray's.
Right.
I mean, I just that's where I drew the line. You know, whatever if there was two consenting adults and they weren't doing anything illegal that they shouldn't be doing to each other, it's none of my business.
Makes all sense in the world.
And if everybody lived that way, there'd be a lot less problems in this world.
You were
Absolutely.
kidding about that.
100%.
Dink, how well received were you breaking into the business by other wrestlers? Were you made to feel welcome?
Yeah.
Well, that's a good thing. You
Yeah.
guys go on.
The best wrestler, the small, me good, but the best is Sky Lolo Beaver.
Skylar Lowe is like to me Bruno.
He's a machine.
Of the,
Yeah.
Is a very before me wrestler, me work the business, all right. Me understand the money. But this guy Beaver Sky, he no understand. Sky, 1958, he made 35,000 a year.
What?
Wow.
Skylar Lowe in 1958
Holy
made $35,000
Yeah.
a freaking year. How many zeros today do you put on that? What are we talking
But
here?
you see, that goes back to, you know,
Wow.
kind of a theme of the song,
Man.
of the show. Not to cut you off, Dink, but
Riding high?
going like to Vince McMahon, right? A lot of wrestling experts out there will say how Vince takes advantage of the wrestlers or you know, doesn't take care of them after their career is over. Like, unfortunately, James Harris, Kamala, right?
Yeah.
Guy's on a GoFundMe page. He lost his legs. And everybody's like, billionaire Vince took that guy for everything he had. You know, when you talk about that, like a Skylo Low, not saying he didn't deserve $38,000, but that's a great living, right?
Yes.
I mean, at what point does Vince not owe a wrestler anything anymore?
Do you guys think Vince is responsible for taking care of wrestlers today who are broken out of luck?
Well, it's not Vince. You know, when you had 30 or 40 promotions, it's like if you only had one NFL team, you're going to put the weight all on Jerry Jones.
No. Well, yeah.
Now, as far as a professional athlete goes, every company in every sport, whether it's a sport or a factory job or whatever you're doing, our government says you have a responsibility to its workers. In other words, you can't give coal miners black lung disease and kick them to the curb. You can't give steam fitters that build our ships for the Navy asbestosis and kill them and kick them to the curb.
Sure.
You have a responsibility to take care of your workforce.
That's it.
Now, the problem with the wrestling business is you only have one promotion now. And for years and years and years, when a guy got done wrestling, they just threw you to the curb. Most of the guys don't have another source of income. So I don't care. If you work for Vince for 10 years and you leave and you got $500,000 in the bank and you're 40 years old, you ain't going to make it on that till you die.
Okay.
That's fair, right?
That's fair.
So, I mean, does Vince have a due diligence for his wrestlers? Yeah, he does. I mean, is all the weight in the past on Vince. I don't think that's fair.
Yeah, where do you draw the line? How about guys who spent the bulk of their career wrestling for Crockett?
Right. So, I mean, he bought that territory.
He may have bought it.
So
but
when he buys all of those territories, the responsibility goes back to him now.
Okay.
It's no different than if you're working for 123 Coal Mining Company and ABC comes in and buys the coal company. Well, it doesn't let them off the hook because you worked for them for 30 years and you only worked for him for one.
Mm-hmm.
You still got black lung disease and you're going to die.
So your point is Vince should be taking care of the wrestlers after the fact.
Yeah, but it's not something that you do after. It's when you start working there.
Right.
They should be starting a 401k or starting a pension or starting a medical or doing something for the guys as they're going along.
What's your feeling about a union? Because if the wrestlers had a union, this might be a completely different story, and we're not even discussing this.
Well, you might be right. I don't know. That's we're playing the what if game now.
Right.
I mean, the baseball players and the football players and the NBA and the hockey, they never had anything. And how many? Look at Webster for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He died in his car.
Right.
There's a 4-time Super Bowl
Mike
champion,
Webster,
All-Pro,
Hall of Famer.
Hall of Famer. That had no home. I mean, that's not right.
Right.
So, in the football, it's diversified. You got 30 teams. You got 30 owners.
Sure.
You have things like that.
Sure.
But prior to the baseball, football, NHL, and all the other sports, those guys were basically kicked to the curb. How many? I mean, yeah, you had the Babe Ruths and the Mickey Mantles and, the guys that made big money. But I know guys like Terry Bradshaw that was a 4-time Super Bowl champion.
Mm-hmm.
And he made more money one year doing the TV show than he did in his whole NFL career.
Right.
Now, that's him. What about the other 40 guys on the team?
Sure.
That didn't get the TV announcing job?
That's a 53-man roster over
What
there.
are they doing?
Yeah, right.
And he was probably one of the higher paid guys because he was the quarterback.
Right.
So what was the offensive guard making?
Right.
Yeah. And now you just, the guy.
To be fair, Ray, you're talking between a unionized sport and a non-unionized sport.
True.
You're an independent contractor. And look,
True.
I hear what you're saying. I don't necessarily agree with it, but it's fair enough.
Well, that's okay.
Right?
That's what makes America great. You don't have to agree with me.
Well,
but I'll tell you this: as far as
you're not going to protest, are you?
No.
Okay.
But as far as an independent contractor goes, you can label anybody as that. But when you work for the same guy 300 days a year for 3 years in a row, you're an employee.
Right.
So
you're not an independent
how's
contractor.
Vince getting past all of that then?
Oh.
How's that happening?
I'm not a lawyer. I don't know.
Somebody's bread is being buttered.
Well, I mean, I don't know all the answers. Maybe
I don't know.
Right.
I don't know.
Maybe it's going to go to court. Maybe someone will take
Everything
it.
you're saying has valid points.
But I'm not. I'm certainly law degree. I basically got out of high school, so I mean, I don't have no law degree.
He's killing me.
But,
you know what? No wonder they made you a clown. You're a funny guy.
Well, I mean,
hey, can you do that? Can you do that Pesci thing?
The what?
The Pesci line?
What's the Pesci?
Am I here to amuse you? Am I a clown? What am I, a clown?
Like I amuse you?
I don't shine shoes anymore, motherfucker.
We should do that.
Go
ahead.
Dance now, Spider. Go ahead.
Why don't we go on to? Can I get WrestleMania 10?
Go ahead.
Let's talk WrestleMania 10.
Oh my!
Okay.
Dance
Of course,
now,
held at
dance now, Spider.
He was
You
a
should
rat.
try it out for that
Go
part,
ahead,
man.
His whole family's rats. He's going to grow up to be a rat.
Go ahead.
Hey, Mark, can I borrow your steak knife? I hit a deer.
Yeah.
Anyway.
The paw was stuck. The paw.
But by the way, all this is
And the
being
grill.
done. All this is done in clown makeup, by the way.
Yeah.
Now that would be different.
Oh boy.
WrestleMania 10, Madison Square Garden. What was that feeling like for you guys coming out there that night? That is major stuff going on.
Anybody who gets into the wrestling business, it's like any kid that plays baseball or football. You want to play in the World Series.
Yeah.
In Yankee Stadium.
It's the Super Bowl.
Or
WrestleMania.
you want to play in the Super Bowl.
WrestleMania, Super Bowl, baby.
WrestleMania.
At the Garden.
Madison Square Garden.
The birthplace.
Geez, it don't get any bigger than that.
Were you nervous? You'd already been there.
No
You
more.
were okay this time,
No
right?
more.
You were good, right? You was okay?
Yeah.
You sure?
He was like a prostitute in church. He was so nervous. Are you kidding me?
Look out.
Hey, even the TV guy laughed at that one. I thought he was dead. Tomorrow that kid Matt will be dead a week. But anyway, that's another story.
Oh my God! You see what you get, Matt? You're just sitting there minding your own
But the
business.
most important part, what was the payday for WrestleMania 10?
Ooh!
Well,
Come on!
if we want to let
Come on.
my payday
Yeah.
was 16,000.
Here's where the team breaks up. You made more, didn't you? What did you make? I'm just kidding. What was your payday for
He
WrestleMania?
probably got half.
Oh, man. I can't get any more.
7,000.
Yeah, just about half.
That's
See?
good. Yeah, wait a minute.
Look
You
at
got
that.
shorted a grand.
No,
Were
you
you,
didn't
were you
get
happy with that payday?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was okay. I really did.
Yeah.
I mean, for where we were on the card,
How long was the match?
10 minutes.
He got 16 grand for 10 minutes.
It's not too
Yeah,
bad.
but what about the
Can I
11
borrow
years?
your makeup kit?
What about the 11 years it took to get?
Yeah.
No, I don't want to hear about
No,
that.
that don't
Me
You're
really?
driving up and down the road for $50 going
Yeah.
to Portland, Maine?
Jack in the box at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Remember that the trailer is very cold?
Oh, yeah.
What?
There was a lot of places. That
Yeah,
A
you
very
go for
cold
WrestleMania.
trailer. Okay, well, but Patterson wasn't there, was he?
No, that would have warmed things up.
Holy Boston crab. Anyway.
Holy Boston crabs.
No.
Oh my God! Oh dear Lord! All right, guys. When you look back at both of your careers on a professional basis, this is not an easy question, Mike. Thanks a lot. When you look back at your career on a professional
Why do I get
basis,
the blame for this shit?
I don't know. Maybe because you might have wrote this one.
Okay.
Okay. Now that we cleared that up.
Yeah.
Looking back, do you wish that maybe your careers had been on a more serious path after in hindsight? Or you totally like, hey, this rocked. I don't see anybody else doing this. So how did you feel about, the path that it took? Do you want to be Bob Backlund or Macho Man, I guess is what I'm getting at.
Well, I mean, I never wanted to be anybody but myself.
I love that answer.
I mean,
Yeah.
no matter what, when I was Sergeant Kruger, I was Sergeant Kruger. When I was Ray Apollo, I was Ray Apollo. When I was Doink the Clown, I was Doink the Clown.
Right.
Like I said to you before, when you asked me about turning from an evil guy to a fan favorite, and I was a wrestler, and I would put my wrestling skills in whatever wrapper they wanted me to put it in.
Yeah.
So when I first started in the business, and most of the guys that have made it will tell you the same thing. When I was 22, 23 years old, I would have wrestled for nothing. I loved it. I couldn't wait every day to get on the mat. I loved it. I loved
Great.
having fun. To me, I couldn't believe somebody paid me as much money as they did to go in there and have fun with my friends. I liked to fight. I mean, I had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I liked the physical contact. I liked being with my friends. And then the best part was after it was all over, you went and had a couple of beers or you had some ice cream, you shot pool, and, it's like anything else. People say, well, is there guys you didn't like? Of course.
Right.
I mean, what do? You work for an assembly line. Isn't
Yeah,
there guys you don't like?
Sure.
You're a school teacher. Isn't there other school teachers you don't like? Of course. Not everybody you're going to like. But by and large, 95% of the guys I got along with. I had a lot of fun. I couldn't wait to go somewhere and have fun with my friends. It sounds screwed up, but in the beginning, I couldn't wait to get back on the road.
No,
I loved it.
That's a passion. You
I
know what? You're a
really-
lucky man that you love your job. Not
I
many
really
people love
love-
their job.
I really loved it, and I miss a lot of my friends have passed away,
Right.
and those days will never be back.
Right.
But I relive them in my head all the time.
Who do you miss the most?
Oh, there's a lot of guys. I mean,
I told you I'd make this clown cry.
I mean,
Here it comes.
I really miss Owen Hart.
Really?
Owen
Tell us about Owen.
Owen was a good friend of mine, and when I was in the Federation, he was building a new house, and he had OG, his son, and his wife, and we got along so well that whenever he came to the New York area, I used to take him home with me, and I would say, save your money on the rental car and on the hotel. Stay with me. Put that towards your house. He says, yeah, I'm going to build a nice house. I'm building a nice brand new house for me and Martha. He goes, as soon as my time in the Fed is over. He was a school teacher. He goes, I'm going to go back home and teach school and have a nice life with my wife and family. And I said, that's great. I really hope the best for you. And we talked all the time. And I talked to him just a week before he died.
Your thoughts the night that he passed? What did you go through as far as emotions when you heard? Were you watching live by any chance?
No,
Okay.
thank God, because that would have been really bad.
How was it broken to you, the news?
A friend of mine called me up and told me.
Okay.
And, almost right after it happened, he called me and said, did you see what happened? And I said, no. And he told me. And, I was just heartbroken. Not mad, not, violent. It was like someone kicked me in the gut.
Well, did you watch Dark Side of the Ring at all? Was
Yeah.
that all? Do you feel the WWE totally dropped the ball on this? I mean, not saying you're putting blame on anything, right?
That's
Just,
a real tough. Do I think that Vince willfully did it and that it was area intent and malice? No, I don't think anybody, tried to kill him.
Should
Right.
the show have gone on that night?
My opinion, no.
Okay.
A guy just gave his life up for the business.
I know it's been many years since then. We're going on, I do believe, 21 years this year, of course, has passed. What's your feeling? Listen, as a fan, and I was a big Owen Hart fan, as my partner knows. I actually liked Owen more than Brett. This was
He was a machine in the ring.
I also thought he was better on the mic and more engaging, but that's me. That's me.
Different personality. Two
Yes,
brothers.
yes.
180 degrees opposite.
Absolutely.
And
Now-
Brett's not a bad guy. I love Brett.
I think he's great too. He's a
good
legend.
guy. But he's different. He's not the same.
I preferred his brother. Now it's been 21 years. Do you think Martha will ever soften? Just coming from the dorky, nerdy wrestling fan at home, I would love to see him in the Hall of Fame. Are we ever going to see that, or it's just going to be no?
Oh, I can't.
It's not going to
I
happen.
can't begin to answer for that. I mean,
Oh, how do you feel about it though?
they were, they were like the love of their lives for each other.
Of course.
They met very young,
Of course.
and Owen didn't want to do that Blue Blazer thing, and that wasn't his.
I hated it personally.
He didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
Did he tell you that he didn't want to?
I hated it.
Of course.
Oh, he did not like it.
So he was
No.
like, I don't want to do this whole.
But he was
angle?
under contract, and that's what Vince and them wanted,
Right.
because there was certain things they didn't want. He didn't want to do on TV that they wanted him to do. And as his punishment for saying no, they put him back in the Blue Blazer suit. Now, okay, I agree that maybe the talent in the office should have worked something out. Okay, fine. Do I think that there was any malice or any premeditation leading to his demise? Of course not.
No.
I don't believe that for a second.
No.
Do I think it was a terrible tragedy and an accident that didn't have to happen? It was a preventative accident that because it didn't have to happen. He didn't need it. He was a good enough wrestler as Owen Hart. He didn't need that Blue Blazer thing. There was no reason
I
for
agree.
that.
I
Other
agree.
than, at that time, WCW had Sting doing it. And
It was a battle,
Yeah,
right? They
Vince
all wanted to top each
it
other.
hit, yeah. So, but I mean, it didn't have to. It didn't have to be. It was an avoidable, unnecessary incident.
Thoughts on Kamala as far as working in the ring with him? Of course, the recently passed great Kamala.
James Harris.
What was that like working with him? Was it
James was one of the nicest guys you'd ever want to meet. He was a sweetheart. And I'll tell you this, everybody talks about the prejudice and civil unrest and everything in our country.
Okay.
When I was doing the South African gimmick, there was apartheid in South Africa. That's why that Ole Anderson started that angle with me and Ted Petty.
Different times, right? Imagine trying to do that shit now.
Different times.
Yep.
And when we'd walk out of an arena in a bad neighborhood, place where there'd be 30, 40 people outside waiting for me and Teddy. And you know who used to help get us in the cars? James Harris and S.D. Jones and all the black guys that we were fighting every night.
Right.
There you go.
Because they knew that we were making money. They knew that we were bringing out all the prejudice and all the hatred in people, and we were filling up buildings. And those black guys would get me and Teddy to the car. So let everybody think about that for a little while.
I wonder what the faces were.
It was a business to us guys, and the people, after the matches were over, wanted to kill me and Teddy. And the guys that we were so prejudiced on and hated would get us in our car.
What was the response of the people who were busy trying to jump you when they saw that they were?
They didn't know what to do.
Oh yeah, what was that? Hey, wait a minute.
They couldn't figure it out.
Wow.
We're almost out of time.
All right.
Talk about Johnny Rods a little bit. Someone that doesn't,
Love Johnny Rods.
you mentioned S.D. Jones,
Yep.
which we love.
Love him too.
He doesn't get enough
Conrad F. from
airplay.
me.
Yeah, he does not get enough.
How about
airplay.
Johnny Rods?
Johnny, all of those guys, Johnny, SD, they were great, great guys. Johnny's a great guy. I know him and his wife Ellen 35 years. Johnny, you talk about a guy that could wrestle? If You wanted to get cute, and you thought you were a tough guy, you were a shooter. Well, he'd straighten that out.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, don't ever think that Johnny couldn't go
Why do you think Vince never pushed him more? Because quite honestly, he was in incredible shape back then.
because he stayed here too long.
Really?
He was originally sent to California, and he was going to be,
He was a champion over there, wasn't he?
and he was going to come back and be here like the Sheik.
Really?
They were, his name was going to be Java Rook.
Didn't he play Java Rook in California, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Because Java Rook, he didn't have to change the initials on his boots from Johnny Rods.
That's hilarious.
Now hold on though.
That's
Does
true
that
story.
does
That is
that
incredible, though. It's like, oh shit, let's get a name that'll
But
have
does-
to buy some new boots.
But does that mean that if he had returned as that character in the line of an Iron Sheik, is it possible that it would have been Johnny Rod somehow,
Yeah.
camel clutching Bob Backlund?
Well, Johnny Rods was definitely a good enough wrestler to get it done.
For sure.
He could have went all the way to the top.
So that could have been Hogan who's giving him
You know,
the
from-
leg drop to start
again,
Hulkamania.
He had the talent.
From reading
Wow.
books,
Interesting.
what I've read is Rods was the litmus test to make
was
sure if you were going to be there.
He was old man Vince, not the one you know today.
Yes, correct.
The father, Vince McMahon Sr.
Sure.
That was Vince McMahon Sr.'s tester. When he had all the territories, and they were going to bring in the Pharaoh to try out for a match, your first match was Johnny Rods.
And Johnny would go, good,
And Johnny
bad.
would say the kid's got a lot of talent,
Oh,
or
he's built like a toothpick.
he needs to be polished up. Or,
So speaking of that, you were in that older WWE thing, and you saw guys like Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert coming through,
Sure.
right? Kurt Hennig.
yeah.
Did you look at them and go, these guys are going to be good? Or are you like,
Oh, I knew Kurt Hennig was a talent the minute I saw him.
yeah, wow.
I mean, that guy was a machine. You know, there's guys that like Kurt Hennig, Mike Rotunda, Barry Windham. You know, there's guys like that are just machines in there, and they would have been great in the 1900s all the way to the 2020s. They would have been great anytime.
When you first came across a very young Kurt Hennig, because we remember baby Kurt Hennig.
oh yeah. Yeah.
Could you tell though? How could you tell that personality was going to come out? Cause
Oh no, not the personality, the talent. And
yeah. Oh yeah, the wrestler. No
the
doubt.
Mr. Perfect thing. No, I didn't.
Wow.
Nobody
It's like
saw
you just
that.
knew he had the wrestling talent.
Yeah, we could put the other fluff in there later.
Yeah.
But he definitely had the ability to go.
Yeah.
How about Quick Draw Rick McGraw?
Oh, we loved him.
Rick McGraw. Oh, wow.
We loved Quick Draw.
Right? You got any Andre stories? Did you ever meet up with Andre?
I met Andre, sure.
So you got
I want to know if Dink met Andre.
Dink,
the
have you ever
Giant.
met Andre? Like, got any Andre stories?
Nice guy.
Nice. He didn't try to put you in his pocket or something as a
No.
as a
No.
bad joke or something.
Wait a
I
minute.
can see Andre doing that. What? Oh, now I'm not sensitive.
What a minute.
What's going on?
Easy, baby.
I'm sorry. Go on.
One time. The time. Okay. My English is not too good.
Okay.
Pat.
Oh God, Pat, go on.
Again. Pat
Checking oil again, Patterson.
call Andre the Giant. He tell Tiger me like is ill. Me go Madison Square Garden. Me ill. Hey, me like ill. And me ding ding ding. Right. The people laugh. Pat tell no, it's no good. You baby face.
You don't make a bad guy. Unbelievable. Mikey, what else you got for
All
us,
right,
brother?
guys. Well, we're almost out of time.
Do I get a final question?
You got your final question. First, I want to say, guys, thank you. Incredible
Yes.
It was
interview.
a pleasure being here.
Fun, laughing, unbelievable. And I got to tell you,
Excuse my English, right?
you were perfectly fine. And I will tell you this, on social media alone, tons of people watching right now. And that's
great.
not even on television. So that's the importance of your characters and what you've put into the industry. And if you haven't had enough of Doink and Dink, remember, as part of ESS promotion, Al Snow, Doink and Dink will be part of the auction that's coming up, where we'll be selling autographed pictures, personalized to you, or separately, some auctions of some items. We've got some really good stuff. And so once these guys get a little food in them, and maybe we get a little wine in ourselves,
Yeah.
we'll be ready to come back
Well,
on.
you know, if I could say this to you,
Go ahead.
guys, if it wasn't for the fans and it wasn't for the people coming to the arenas, coming to the autograph sessions and watching us, I never would have had a job.
That's right.
I take all the thanks in the world for my wrestling fans, the people who liked me, the people who hated me, the people that came to the arena. And that's why every time I stepped in the ring, I tried to give them what they paid for.
I'm going to go on the other side of it, though. We want to thank you because you know what? Life isn't always grand, and you're down and out in your luck, and you're able to turn on a show and watch you two perform and make us laugh and kind of let us forget about our everyday troubles. So the same goes without you. Some people wouldn't be where they are now. So I think it goes both ways.
If I had that kind of an impact on even one person,
There you go.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, you've had that impact on me. So I'm going to give you the last shot to start. Show's going to ask you a question, and we're going to go take a powder until the auction.
All right,
Okay.
guys. Let's keep it real simple here. What is the favorite moment in each one of yours career? One special night. What is it?
Honestly, WrestleMania 10.
How could it not be?
Me too.
Okay. Same
Madison
for both
Square-
of you.
Yeah.
Madison Square Garden and WrestleMania.
Yeah, I really don't get better than that.
I
does
don't
it?
know what you'd do to top that.
Yeah.
I mean, I wrestled in Royal Albert Hall and the Astrodome and every big building in this country and one's out of this country, but there's only one Madison Square Garden, and there's only one WrestleMania. I mean, I did Starcades, I did Clashes of the Champions, I did a lot of different things, but that without a doubt is it.
For
You
both
know.
of you.
It's like every
Yeah.
little kid that plays baseball. When you see a guy like Roger Clemens would walk out of the bullpen and pet Babe Ruth's monument statue,
Oh.
what does that tell you?
Tells you a lot.
This is pretty big, isn't it? Go to the Yankee Stadium before the game and you watch the guys walk past the monuments and touch Gehrig or Ruth, and you'll go and you'll see them go to Fenway and look at Ted Williams.
So
You know,
a few
I mean,
things we've learned here. Number one, Claude, don't let him have your women first because he ruins it for all
Oh, it's
other
all
men.
over.
Right?
Right.
Two, women love to have sex with guys in clown makeup.
What?
Yes, they do.
Yeah,
Right.
we did learn that. Go on.
Three,
Yeah.
Doink and Dink got paid a lot of money for WrestleMania.
Yeah,
10.
they did. They did. Yeah. That would be my
For-
favorite day, too.
4. Pat Patterson helped me
That's right.
with coming on the business.
Pat
Okay.
Patterson might be gay, or is gay, but he doesn't take advantage of people.
Business is the business.
No.
That's it.
That's it.
It's been our honor. This is
Yes.
Mike Monte.
This is
Thank
the
you.
Pharaoh.
Thank you very much, fellas.
You got it, guys. Our pleasure. This has been Monte and the Pharaoh. And until the auction in a few short moments, later.